Do you have any thoughts on what you think the meaning of them is? Like for me, I almost, from a spiritual perspective, would think this is to raise awareness that there is something more out there, that there is a transfer of consciousness maybe after death. And I'm trying to show you that there is something more to life.
Yes, well, that's what almost every single near-death experiencer says to me. Whether they were atheists or materialists beforehand, they are convinced after the experience that this was real. They often say it's realer than this world is. And they say there's no doubt in their mind that we do not die permanently. We survive. Our consciousness survives in some form after death. And after 50 years of studying these experiences, it's hard for me to argue with that because I cannot find any physical explanation for them. So I've come to believe that there is some type of consciousness after death.
And what are the kind of similar traits of the near death experience? Like a lot of the time we hear of people saying, I went down this tunnel, I met past family members, I didn't want to come back, I had a choice to come back. Like when someone goes through a near death experience, are you seeing sort of similar stories or of what they're saying?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because the things they talk about are the same all over the world in different countries. And going back to the ancient Greeks and Romans, we have accounts of the same experiences that sound just like the ones we hear today. But almost every near-death experiencer starts by telling me that they can't really describe it. There are no words to describe this experience. So of course I say, great, tell me about it. You know, so I kind of force them to use metaphors. And the metaphors they use are what they were grown up with in their culture and their religion. So for example, people all over the world will talk about encountering this warm, loving being of light that makes them feel loved and welcomed. And people in Christian countries will often say that was God or Jesus. And people in Hindu and Buddhist countries will not use those words.
Mm.
And even people in the US will say to me, I'm going to call it God because I don't have any other word to use, and I want you to know what I'm talking about. But it's not the God I was taught about in church. It's much bigger than that. So again, people talk about the same phenomena around the world. People talk about going through a tunnel. What they're describing is a long, dark, enclosed space. And people in the Western world will say tunnel. But people in third world countries, which don't have a lot of tunnels, won't use that word. They may say, I went into a cave or fell down a well or something like that. I talked to one person who was a truck driver who said, I was sucked into this tailpipe. So whatever metaphors come to them is what they use. But they're talking about the same basic phenomena all around the world.